Hello guys, in this tutorial we're gonna learn how to grab those things from CSS file and how to activate it directly in HTML code. Can we do that? Yes, but there are some things we need to solve here. Well, see this line right now from last tutorial? We will not use it because we don't need it. So let's delete it because we are working with internal CSS and now momentarily we will lose access to that file. Okay, so like normal default behavior. Right, the next thing is go to your CSS file and let's copy everything in a head section of HTML file, and you will expect that everything will be fine now, right? Well, actually, if we refresh our page, we'll get default behavior, but also that CSS bunch of instructions will be presented as some kind of content on the screen. Weird one because it's inside the head section. Now actually useful content need to be inside the body section, so this is kind of error. Okay, so the question here is what we need to use to solve that thing. Well, we are introducing HTML style tag, and that thing will provide you option to actually activate CSS internal one. And of course we must close it down there, so style. See, so that thing is blue, and now everything what is here will be used as real CSS and not some kind of additional content on the screen. And now let's refresh our page. There you go, so you have results. Now you'll probably say, okay, well, can I somehow like mix external files and internal CSS? Can I do that? Well, yes, you can do that in some occasions. It's available through standards, but in that case, whatever it's inside directly inside a style here will have priority over things inside a CSS file, because you must have some kind of differentiation between different versions of CSS. I mean, between different codes that will maybe target only one tag, so you will run into confusion. So let's do that. In a my style CSS, we're gonna, let's say, leave everything here, but let's change like a whole background color for whole body to completely red. And now you will expect that because I have created change here, that thing will be automatically applied to internal CSS. Well, in reality, no. Because assumption is if something is so important that you do have internal CSS, then that thing must have priority over external file. So we are talking about levels of priority. So inline CSS, we will learn about that too, will have priority over internal one, and internal one will have priority over external one. So levels of priorities, guys. Right, so how to activate this red? Well, you have a couple of options. One of those options is just to remove that characteristic, and you will expect that this thing will be automatically applied, but the reality is this. So you don't have red as a background. Why is that so? Because you didn't include that external CSS file together with internal CSS in a head section. So you must go back and retype that like a command again. So I actually have it copy pasted somewhere. Just a second. Yeah, I don't want to retype it all over again. You probably want to do that. So yeah, now we have CSS file again, and now that file, because it's activated, will have priority over this non-existing line. See, there you go. But the moment when you go back with background color, which will be, let's say, white, now this thing, because it exists as priority, will automatically override things from CSS file. Check this out. See, there you go. Priorities, and actually 3 levels of them: inline CSS, internal CSS, and external CSS. Now some people will say, okay, that means I can experiment a bit. I can have couple of tags like styled here and some tags styled in a CSS file. Well, yeah, sure. For example, let's have a body like solved in CSS, so we don't need the paragraph and h1. Okay, so that will work fine, but in a internal CSS we will have just paragraph and h3. Okay guys, so these things are internal one, and CSS will handle body tag. So now when we refresh our page, we have those results. Now why background is a red now? Because in internal CSS we don't have solution for background for whole body. Okay, we don't have it. So that's the thing. You can mix things if you like that. So for example, if you want to have h4, let's say, like here, let's change things. Now this line will grab default HTML stuff. Okay, but if you want to style it, you can do that in internal CSS or in external file. So let's style it actually in that external file with individual section h4, and let's save a little bit of time by copy pasting. So that style will be a background color will be white, and actually color of the text will be yellow. I don't know. Yeah. So now that thing will be activated for this line down there. Oh, I need to change actually here h3 to 4, and same stuff. It's a kind of ugly, so let me go to normal operation like black and refresh, and there you go, everything is fine. So what is difference? The difference is that P and h3 are internally styled, here we are, and h1 and actually body and h4 are styled in an external CSS. So yeah, I was mentioning h1, so let's also do that here, like h1, and I'm gonna copy paste stuff from h3 style here, why not? And now we will get needed results. There you go guys. So body h1 and h4 are styled in file, and paragraph and h3 are styled directly in a page, okay, because they are inside a style section. So some people will say, okay, that's kind of confusing. Well, yeah, right guys, I mean, use for simple occasions, use internal CSS if you're practicing. That's like a normal operation that developers do. But if you solve everything and if you have code ready, then transfer that thing to dedicated CSS style. Because if you don't do that and you have multiple pages, like thousands of them or hundreds, something like that, then in every individual file you need to go in a head section and do all of these things manually. So it is very, very hard to track changes and do changes. But when you include CSS file, the whole operation will be done with just one line. So yeah, use internal stuff when you are like experimenting, changing briefly stuff. You don't want to go in an external one and change there and go back. Sure, experiment with internal CSS, but when you are done, just invest a couple of minutes into copy pasting your solution into external CSS file. That will help you a lot. And if you can, in production, do not mix these things, because you will run over time into all kind of mess, especially if you work with inline CSS, and we're gonna learn about that in the next tutorial. Just remember, internal CSS will have priorities over solutions in external CSS. And if you're confused, don't be, breathe a little bit and work with the one paragraph, one tag and couple of characteristics here, and you will grasp that over time. So yep guys, that's pretty much it. In the next one we're gonna deal with dedicated CSS for only one tag here. Why? Because we can do that. Thank you for watching, see you next one.